James Gunn is one of the most influential superhero movie directors of our time, creating an MCU trilogy that many consider to be one of the best in the overall franchise, to becoming the head of DC Studios, which has now created a proper rendition of Superman. Having just recently watched Superman myself and being a huge fan of his previous superhero works, I wanted to go back and see if all 7 of his directorial films hold a candle to each other. So in today's video, I'm going to be ranking every film James Gunn has made, from his directorial debut to Superman. I will also be including Creature Commandos and the holiday special from Guardians of the Galaxy, as those are 2 that he wrote, directed, and created himself. As for Peacemaker, I'm going to be saving that for its own video, as season 2 is about to come out, and I want to give my full thoughts on that separately. So without further ado, ladies and gents, let's dive into this movie is weird, man. I was not expecting this movie to be as weird as it was, especially coming from the superhero movies I've known James Gunn has been doing for a while now. This movie is just a straight up body horror flick, which I'm not particularly the fondest of. It's actually shocking to me how different of a film this is to the rest of his catalog. This movie simply follows Michael Rooker's character as he just gets infected with this space parasite and continuously turns into a freak of nature, killing people left and right. Elizabeth Banks plays his wife, and the whole film revolves around all these action set pieces with the parasite, and a bunch of hauntingly disturbing scenes play out after that. It's not necessarily a terrible movie, it's well made, but considering body horror is something I'm not entirely into, I felt sick watching this entire film. This movie is very serious in tone. Shockingly, the James Gunn-isms haven't really shown their face yet. Best way I can describe this movie is that it is the weirdest thing you can find. Like, high-key you might vomit yourself trying to watch this movie. Yeah, I'm throwing this in D tier simply because I don't ever want to watch this again. If you like body horror, this is definitely like a B tier movie though. Very good at making me not want to watch this movie again. I'll say that much. Wow, this movie caught me by surprise big time. This movie was a completely new item for me. I had no idea what the plot was going to be about at all. I hadn't even seen reviews for this film. I just went in completely blind. And let me say, I had the time of my life. This movie is a dark comedy, but takes itself quite seriously in its intent. A film set in modern times with just a normal guy suiting up to stop crime, with 0 martial arts skills, superpowers, intellect, or money to make him like the comic counterparts he takes inspiration from. First things first, I love the way this movie is filmed, and its style. It's fun looking back at the style James Gunn presented in 2010, and seeing how much of it is still present in today's works. Because there's some really beautiful cinematography and stylization here. You get these moments that look like comic book splash pages, with onomatopoeia popping up on the screen to emphasize certain moments. You'll have real lighting that dictate mood, color grading that really pops during intense moments, or when a scene needs to breathe. For me, it made the film super interesting. It's also worth noting the whole premise itself was fun for me. In the same way Kick-Ass does it, the film isn't trying to tell a super heroic story, just kind of play off of those with a realistic approach. The only difference is the main lead is a middle-aged man, and Nicolas Cage isn't here. Rainn Wilson is honestly perfect casting for this kind of character. A man completely unassuming who's overlooked by many people, right on the money. Yet he acts the hell out of this. There's such a woefully innocent and hurt person in his portrayal that I found it very endearing in parts that are covered in violence or comedy. The film, and it being 2010, is quite funny. I'm into dark humor, if you've seen my channel by now, so how this film utilizes its raunchiness was quite good in my opinion. However, I'm sure it'll rub some people the wrong way, depending on their tolerance for that type of comedy. In my opinion, I think James Gunn works better when he's allowed room to be raunchy. I find his adult-natured comedic approach works much better than when he has to dull himself down for PG-13. And you'll see how I praise this with his future installments that are R-rated, like Suicide Squad and Creature Commandos. I thought Rainn Wilson's Frank had a quality motivation for being a superhero. Hell, I'd give an arm and a leg to get my wife back too if it was Liv Tyler. That's Arwen right there. The way this movie utilizes violence is quite well too. It's not too overdramatic, and it's not too gory as some other superhero medias, but the use of it here was conveyed in a good way. I thought Elliot Page's inclusion into this movie was hilarious, especially as the Crimson Bolt's sidekick. There is a decent amount of sexual assault present here that I was also not expecting this film to include, so stay wary of that though if you're not into any of that. Overall, this movie's use of superheroism to promote a man eventually moving on from his wife and her moving on from him was done done quite well, and it was artistically serene. I can't lie, I bet there's a cult status surrounding this movie. It deserves it. If I ever want to have a good time with some buddies, I'd happily throw this film on. A-tier film for me. Kevin Bacon was tremendous in this too, by the way. No wonder Star-Lord loves him. This movie changed the course of the MCU forever, and it did a fantastic job at it. Sometimes I forget how great earlier MCU phases were, but going back to this movie made me realize just how incredible it is.
This right here is my favorite thing.
It's funny to me how James Gunn's favorite work of his is Peacemaker, yet to me, Guardians 1 is the best his tone and heartfelt scripting has ever gotten, maybe rivaled by Guardians 3, which we'll get to. James has since gone on to make many films in his signature style, but I think this first one was his best outing. He restrained his comedy for characters that were funnier and were built for it. Not every single character was a comedy-making machine. Each Guardian has their own personality, and that's what made audiences fall in love with them in the first place. Star-Lord is incredibly performed by Chris Pratt here, with that charming, goofy funniness that imbued so much fun onto the screen. Zoe Saldana's Gamora was incredibly complex, bringing the daughter of Thanos with motives of her own. She was strong, cocky, confident, and dry, which made her chemistry with Star-Lord better, in that oil and water kind of way.
No! What the hell?
Drax wasn't yet devolved into a child brain man yet.
Why is Gamora?
His rage and pain for his wife and child were captivating. Dave Bautista felt angry, and rightfully so, and his character didn't feel neutered in power yet here either. I thought his quest to take down Ronan was admirable and very nuanced. Rocket and Groot's chemistry was fantastic, even though Groot could only speak 3 words. Rocket's development, even back then, was saddening. The one scene where he shares at the bar with Drax talking about being put together and ripped apart is devastating, and Bradley Cooper gives a fantastic vocal performance for him too.
He thinks I'm some stupid thing he does. Well, I didn't ask to get made. I didn't ask to be torn apart and put back together over and over and turned into some little monster.
This movie takes all these complex characters and gives them something for the audience to find themselves in. Having access to all these different personalities was so much fun to watch, and you could find yourself in any one of these characters. Nebula being the forgotten sister, whose tortured past leads her to constantly seek approval from her father. And the atmosphere this movie has is incredible, making a galaxy feel worn in and populated with all these cool set pieces, like Nowhere for instance. Introducing the Nova Corps, a space police force with people that knew the Guardians for their crimes, added a layer of interest and world building too. This film knew how to pace itself. Each action scene or layer of character development doesn't feel rushed at all. It's why by the time they all work together at the end, it feels triumphant in a way. This weird ragtag group of people becoming family, Groot's sacrifice, them holding the Power Stone together, just perfect. And I mean, the dance-off is iconic.
Now bring it down hard. Someday.
The action is fun and engaging. The comedy doesn't feel forced, as I mentioned.
We're all standing up now. Bunch of jackasses standing in a circle.
And the acting is very good. Plus, the soundtrack for all 3 of these movies, impeccable. A-tier movie. The only thing holding it back is Ronan's character development. But everything else is so freaking good. Yeah, this is where James got too into his own bag for me. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 isn't a bad movie, but it's a little too goofy and wonky for my personal liking.
She just told everyone your deepest, darkest secret.
Dude, come on. I think you're overreacting a little bit.
You must be so embarrassed.
I think it loses a bit of the sincerity the first film had, inserting jokes where it's not necessarily needed, turning characters into really dumb insert jokes. Drax, and leaving many areas of authenticity littered with irony. Now, I hardly hate this film, it's just that its biggest issue on rewatch is in its jokey, less serious tone, especially when scenes with actual space for dark and somber moments are just right around the corner. This film takes a deeper look into Peter Quill's history, and I thought that was awesome. I think with each one of these films, having family play a huge role, where in the first it was with Gamora, and now this one it's Peter, is really sweet. Ego is one of the more overlooked villains in the MCU. I made a former video noting how the MCU kind of wasted him, and I still think that's true, but how he's used in this film is really great, using him as a tool to push Peter forward developmentally. And it goes without saying that getting Kurt Russell in the MCU is a 10 out of 10 experience. Watching his story develop alongside Peter, learning more and more about his celestial powers, and his mother was incredible. And this is where Gunn lets scenes breathe with seriousness.
It broke my heart to put that tumor in her head.
What?
Gamora learning more about how her sister felt during childhood and her abandonment from her sister was great too. Bringing it all together though has to be with the redemption of Yondu. Yes, that man kidnapped a kid, but he raised that boy from the womb. That being said, I think this movie does have some funny moments like Rocket with the Ravagers, Groot and Rocket talking over the bomb, and the entire opening Groot dance sequence to Mr. Blue Sky. 10 out of 10. The fight scenes are awesome, the entire Ego final fight is very entertaining, the colors in this movie pop, and when moments of sincerity breathe, it's exceptional. But the ironic humor can be overdone way too much in certain scenes.
I have sensitive nipples.
My nipples hurt. Oh, goodness me.
With that being said, I'm gonna give this movie a B. This movie is something I enjoy rewatching quite a bit. When I rewatched this film for my recent video against the Thunderbolts, I forgot how earnest, interesting, and fun a movie about the worst heroes of the worst could be. Taking characters I found annoying in the first one and turning them into fun and charismatic ones. Many of the characters in the film have moments to shine, taking dark and disturbing backstories and giving them nuance and respect. James Gunn's staple humor and zaniness is a part of this film, yet it actually enhances this type of film for me. These characters included are very obscure, so the film not taking itself too seriously gives it more complexity that I thought was fun and enjoyable to watch. The team aspect is easily my favorite part of the film, as the most charisma, fun, and engaging dialogue takes place between the crew. Seeing characters like Peacemaker and Bloodsport duel it out, or watching Rick Flag and Harley reunite, or seeing newcomer Polka Dot Man make everyone uncomfortable was great. Scenes where they enjoy themselves at a bar give the characters some time to decompress, and gives the audience a time to enjoy the film just as much as its characters are. Personal conflicts like Flag being upset at his country, while Peacemaker wants to keep the peace, add up for one of my favorite action sequences in the film. Ratcatcher 2 has a shockingly sad and disturbing backstory related to Bloodsport's own familial struggles, making for a great middle ground between both characters. Even Polka Dot Man having mommy issues made for not only funny moments, but a deeper, nuanced kind of guy. And this movie has incredible action too. Bloodsport and Peacemaker bring some great moments, especially when they go back and forth trying to kill different enemies. And like I mentioned before, the Rick Flag versus Peacemaker fight, or Harley's escape, or the final battle against Starro are all very enjoyable to watch. And the opening scene is an absolute massacre, and it's so much fun. I find the Suicide Squad to be one of those movies that doesn't really require you to watch the first one to enjoy it, which is really great for me. It's got a lot of great character moments, fun visuals, and humor that doesn't really overstay its welcome. Putting this on the tier list, I'd go A tier.
Have a holly jolly Christmas. It's the best time of the year.
The Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, I think, is pretty cool. Not gonna lie, James Gunn writing and directing this 45-minute Guardians holiday special is not something I would have expected coming out of Marvel, and it's pretty fun. In terms of overall storytelling, it is kind of interesting to me that they went with following Drax and Mantis on this little side quest to try and kidnap Kevin Bacon. It's a very humorous and hilarious take on this kind of story, although I do find Drax and Mantis to be kind of annoying sometimes, especially with how they're portrayed in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. It's kind of in that kind of vein. So for me, it got a little annoying at some point. I find the whole idea of them trying to kidnap Kevin Bacon in this universe hilarious. I mean, it is a stupid and silly premise, but it works. It's not supposed to be super nuanced in its storytelling, yet there is some serene and authentic moments. I always find the ending of this special very sincere, especially with Mantis and Peter finally reuniting as brother and sister. I think that is really sweet and honestly leaves a tear in your eye. In terms of Christmasness, I think it's really fun. It brings the holiday to life. I don't have much to say about this holiday special other than it is a fun time, and if you end up rewatching it, you're not gonna have a lot of complaints. If you like the Guardians, this is a nice little side piece that you can watch. Personally, for me, there's not much rewatchability for it. I've only watched it once since it came out. I don't really plan to go back to it. I'd rather just watch the movies instead. Overall, I'd give it a B. I think it's a fun TV special and the writing is great in some parts, but for me, I would have just preferred it focus on a little bit more of the other Guardians too, and not just Drax and Mantis. But I do know that is a TV special, so they only have room for a certain amount of things. But overall, to me, I think it's a fine TV special. This movie makes my heart melt. I believe this is James Gunn's magnum opus. The sincerity, the tension, the humor, the nuance. Man, this movie is devastating. Taking an approach where Rocket leads this film, this central character arc of his, is truly masterful work. Guardians started off as this ragtag group, and this finale really showcases how familial they've all become with one another, even with a Gamora that's from a different timeline. This movie focuses so much on the development of Rocket's uncomfortable origin, and that is what makes this film so emotionally investing. For most of the movie in real time, he's injured, so it relays his backstory through flashbacks, and these flashbacks, man, kill me! Bradley Cooper gives a performance of a lifetime here. Not only do we learn about Rocket, but how the High Evolutionary created him, and the animal abuse he used to make him intelligent, and the cruelty he used on these creatures. Rocket becoming friends with Lila, Floor, and Reefs. Oh man, I'm about to start crying! I'm a puddle! The High Evolutionary may not be the most battle-hardened threat the MCU has had, but the animal cruelty from him automatically makes me hate him. I love the rest of the Guardians team has for helping Rocket in this movie, going so far with each other to make sure he stays alive, and even when he almost goes, I was almost a puddle again, bro. People give Chris Pratt a lot of shit, but when he locks in, he's so emotionally investing to watch.
No!
Also, Peter's arc of getting over Gamora is so gut-wrenching too. Having someone you passionately love leave you is one thing, but someone you knew that loved you the same back, pass away only to get brought back from a different timeline, only to leave you because she doesn't feel the same way again, has gotta hit like a freight train. And this line...
I bet we were fun.
You wouldn't believe.
Oh man, I'm choking up. This movie perfectly concludes every Guardians member with extreme measures. Drax taking care of the kids trapped by the High Evolutionary, Rocket leading the new Guardians team, Nebula ruling nowhere, and Peter reconnecting with his grandfather on Earth. Man, and I haven't even talked about how good the action sequences are. The one-shot hallway fight at the end of the film, the alternate Earth sequences, Adam Warlock's introduction, awesome character by the way, and the incredible soundtrack, and the humor. The humor is so dialed down in this movie, I couldn't believe that this was a James Gunn property. Like I said before, this movie is James Gunn's superhero magnum opus. I don't really know how he likes Peacemaker over Guardians 1 and Guardians 2, but I think Guardians 3 is a generational film. S tier without question. First DCU project. James Gunn's Creature Commandos is a breath of fresh air. I'm a sucker for animated content, so this was a ton of fun for me to watch. I really liked the animation style used for the show, as well as how the show is structured in terms of storytelling. Each episode is based off of a member of the team and intersects their backstories with the main storyline going at hand, which involves guarding Princess Ilana from a witch until Amanda Waller wants to get her killed. I think the camaraderie between the team is very good. I loved how characters like the Bride interacted with those like Frankenstein or Dr. Phosphorus or Nina. It was awesome. The overall team chemistry is great, especially when Rick Flag Sr. is involved. I honestly wish he was with the team even more. I thought episodes like the ones focused on G.I. Robot or the Weasel were fantastic. G.I. Robot was one of my favorite characters, and you know, I was devastated when he wasn't in the rest of the show. While the Weasel episode literally had me feel like an emotional wreck when watching. Talk about taking a character that's hideous and making me feel actual pain for them. I was in a treacherous state of mind. The whole show is fast-paced due to many of the episodes being less than 35 minutes long, and it honestly makes me excited to see where the next few seasons will go in the future, or if any of these characters will feature in any movies soon. I had a ton of fun with this show. There's a lot to unpack here. I might make a full video on it in the future because it is a ton of fun. And the show is pretty funny, honestly. And it is a very mature show, so it is like R-rated in TV form. I'd happily throw it in A tier. James Gunn's latest release to date is a re-emergence of the DC universe in live action. Superman brings back the spirit of the older films and the character's initial comic vibe, taking a massive detour from what Zack Snyder influenced the character as for the past 10 years. This movie brings back the humanity that Superman is all about. It's a very comic booky reimagining of the character, as best described as Sam Raimi's Spider-Man but for Superman. And you know how much I love Spider-Man. This movie brings David Cornsweet's Superman to a new point in his life. He needs to battle political turmoil, personal conflict, relationship issues, and dealing with the most petty version of Lex Luthor we've seen yet. The movie is a ton of fun, even if its satire and humor can overstay its welcome. Scenes that needed more time to breathe get overrun by Gunn's usual humorous intent, and it removed me from a few scenes in here. I think for the start of this DC universe, this movie gives a lot of depth to Clark here. His version of the character is not dealing with an origin, as he's a year 3 involved Superman. However, the people of Metropolis already know him and appreciate him. But the political overview provides Superman with some conflict with the people, which I thought was pretty cool to see portrayed in a Superman film. Superman's relationships, like with Lois for instance, are perfect. I think the chemistry they share on screen is amazing. Other side characters like Jimmy Olsen, impeccable. Mr. Terrific, a ton of fun, and Guy Gardner, awesome, even though they get very little development. However, my favorite part of this film is Lex Luthor as the main antagonist. Nicholas Hoult embodies the character perfectly. I love how deranged, manic, and petty he is while still maintaining his composure, unlike other Lex Luthor actors. The film is very colorful, it's paced quite well, and has a lot going for it that makes it a good time. But as of now, I still think the movie is fun, it's very good, and putting it on the tier list, I'd give it a high B tier. James Gunn is clearly a man who knows what kind of films he's great at, and that happens to fall in superhero films. Whether you like him or not, you can tell that his extent of superhero knowledge is vast, and he does care for the characters he creates. As for his pre-superhero phase, well, Slither still haunts me to this day. Here's hoping the DCU continues down this hopeful trajectory and stays ahead of the curve in terms of quality content. But what do you all think? Let me know in the comments below, and while you're down there, hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell as well so you can be notified whenever your boy drops a new video. As always, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.